He built a 1 million-subscriber YouTube channel by posting one video a month, and he did it without a single brand deal, without a team, and without following a single piece of conventional creator advice. That creator is Dave Whipple, the man behind Bushradical, and the story of how he got there. Through illness, wilderness survival, near bankruptcy, and a deliberate rejection of everything the algorithm supposedly demands, is one of the most unusual success stories in the history of the outdoor YouTube niche. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly what Dave built, why it works the way it does, and why his approach might be the most radical thing about him. Dave Whipple grew up in the middle of lower rural Michigan, surrounded by Amish farms and an older, quieter way of doing things. Not Amish himself, but shaped by the community around him. He went to Morley Stanwood High School, a small school in a small town, and his earliest real education happened outdoors. He read survival and adventure books by author Ben East, stories of men alone in the wilderness, making decisions that mattered. No safety net, no shortcuts, just skill, grit, and whatever you could carry. That imprint never left him. After high school, Dave didn't go to college. He went to work. He became a cement finisher, a tradesman who pours and finishes concrete. It's physically demanding work, the kind that ages your hands before your face, and Dave was good at it. He built a reputation doing foundations and slabs. He also started buying land, flipping houses, and eventually selling his own cabins, skills he was developing in parallel, quietly, while the world wasn't watching. The other thing he did after high school was get married. In 1998, Dave married Brooke, a woman who shared his exact appetite for the outdoors and for doing things the hard way. She'd grown up hunting, fishing, and trapping in rural Michigan. Right out of high school, her first job was at Yellowstone National Park. She trained as a wildland firefighter. She moved to Alaska with a backpack and $200. She was not a person who needed to be convinced that difficulty was worth it. Together, they decided to do something that most people their age were running away from. They moved further from comfort, not toward it. They moved to Alaska. That decision, made by two people in their early 20s with almost nothing, is the foundation of everything that came after. And here's what the comments kept asking, and here's the answer they never got, until now. The answer to why Bushradical feels different from every other outdoor channel starts here, with a piece of land and a price tag that seems impossible in any era. In 1999, Dave and Brooke bought a 2-acre plot in interior Alaska for $6,000. The build, a 12 by 12 cabin made from timber logged on their own property, cost an additional $1,970. Total cost, just under $8,000, and they owned land and shelter outright. During construction, they lived in an 8 by 8 tent. Dave was working as a cement finisher in Fairbanks. Brooke was working as a recreation director at Chena Hot Springs Resort. They poured every spare dollar into the build. It took 3 months. They lived in that cabin for 2.5 years. What those 2.5 years gave Dave wasn't just shelter. It was confidence. The specific, quiet confidence that comes from knowing you built the thing you live in with your own hands, that the bank has no claim on it, and that you could do it again. He'd solved the fundamental problem that keeps most people in debt for 30 years, and he'd solved it for $8,000. That mindset, build it yourself, pay cash, own it free and clear, became the operating philosophy of his entire life. He would go on to build 7 cabins since 1998, never once using a bank loan. He never had a car payment. He bought used vehicles he could fix himself. He sold cabins in cash transactions. His most recent cabin, documented on the channel, cost him $5,500 to build. That number is not a gimmick. It's a lifestyle designed from the ground up to stay debt-free. And eventually, it became the most compelling thing about the Bushradical channel for over 1 million subscribers. But before any of that audience showed up, Dave's body nearly ended everything. And that's when the decision was made, the one nobody around him saw coming. By 2006, Dave Whipple was 30 years old, in the middle of his working life, when something went very wrong. It started with severe stomach pain, the kind that doesn't go away. He lost 40 pounds. He was hospitalized. The initial diagnosis was Crohn's disease, a chronic inflammatory condition of the digestive tract. It's manageable for some people. For Dave, it wasn't the right diagnosis. 2 years later, in 2008, a CT scan revealed what was actually happening: scar tissue bowel obstruction. His digestive system had essentially locked itself. He continued to lose weight. The condition worsened. He ended up at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, one of the most respected medical facilities in the country, where surgery was performed. He recovered. What's notable about the way Dave has talked about this period isn't the illness itself, it's what it confirmed for him. A man who already believed in self-reliance and physical resilience had just spent 2 years losing control of his own body, being misdiagnosed, and ultimately requiring major surgery to function normally again. That kind of experience changes the way you think about time, about what's worth spending it on, about how quickly the things you take for granted, your health, your strength, your ability to do physical work, can disappear. When he came out the other side, Dave didn't slow down. He went back to Alaska. He kept building. He kept working concrete. He kept buying land. But something had shifted in the way he was tracking all of it. He was watching what he built more carefully. He was thinking about what it meant. And when the opportunity came to test himself in the most brutal way possible, he didn't hesitate. Most people who know this story stop here, but the real story starts right now. In 2016, Dave and Brooke Whipple were selected to compete on Season 4 of Alone, the History Channel's survival series. Alone is not a standard reality show. There's no camera crew following you around. Contestants film themselves. They're dropped into a wilderness location. In Season 4, it was Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada, with 10 items of their choice, and they survive for as long as they can. No producers nearby, no luxury hotel waiting at the end of the day. Whoever lasts longest wins $500,000. Season 4 was the first to use paired teams, brother-brother, father-son, and husband-wife combinations. Dave and Brooke were the husband-wife team. One was dropped at the beach in the traditional starting location. The other was dropped 10 miles out with only a compass and a bearing, and had to hike overland to find the base camp. They lasted 49 days. To put that in context, another team was medically evacuated after 5 days. One team tapped out after 2. The winners, brothers Jim and Ted Baird, outlasted all 7 teams, and the Whipples were among the last standing before Brooke, exhausted and physically spent, made the call to end their run. 49 days in that environment requires a skill set that cannot be faked and cannot be improvised. These were real bush skills, developed over years of actual off-grid living. Not a class Dave took, not something he practiced for the show. He and Brooke were the real thing. That experience, and what it taught both of them about their own limits and each other, would quietly inform everything they built next. Because while Dave was still processing what Alone had cost them and what it had proven, he was already watching something else. A YouTube channel called My Self-Reliance, run by a man named Sean James, was quietly building an audience with videos about off-grid cabin life. Dave had years of footage, years of builds, and now he had something else, a national television audience who just watched him survive for 49 days in the Canadian wilderness. And if you think that was surprising, stay with me, because this next part is why the whole story matters. On January 27, 2017, Dave Whipple launched the Bushradical YouTube channel. He had something most new creators don't, a library. Years of personal footage from builds, from bush life in Alaska, from projects he documented for himself without any thought of an audience. He began dropping that footage into videos, not as polished content, but as genuine documentation. What he'd built, how he'd built it, what it cost, what it taught him. The channel description was simple: rustic living and the freedom you get from doing things yourself and keeping life simple. No drama, no competition, no gimmick. Just a man showing you exactly how he lives and why he thinks that way of living is available to more people than they realize. Growth was not immediate, it rarely is, but the audience that found the channel was loyal in a way that casual viral audiences aren't. These were people who were genuinely interested in the life Dave was living, not just the spectacle of it. They asked questions, they came back, they told other people. Then one video crossed 1 million views. In a podcast interview from August 2025, Dave talked about that moment. After hitting 35,000 subscribers and watching that first video pass the 1 million view mark, he described realizing the platform's potential for something real. He recognized that this was actually doable, not as a side project, not as supplemental income, but as the primary way he financed the life he'd already been building for 20 years. He made a decision right there that most creators would consider career suicide. He decided to upload 1 video per month. At this point in the story, most people walked away. What he did instead is the part nobody talks about. The conventional wisdom in the YouTube creator space is volume. Post often, post consistently, feed the algorithm, stay visible. Most advice in the creator economy points toward frequency: 3 videos a week, 5 videos a week, daily content, shorts, clips, repurposing. Dave Whipple does 1 video a month, not because he can't produce more, because he believes that one carefully researched, high-retention, genuinely useful video outperforms 12 mediocre ones in every metric that matters. and the numbers have proven him right. He explained his thinking clearly in that same August 2025 interview. Each upload is researched specifically for audience fit and performance potential before the camera rolls. He's not creating content and hoping it lands. He's working backward from what his specific audience actually responds to, then making the video. The results are the case study. As of mid-2025, Bushradical had over 1.150 million subscribers, built over approximately 237 uploads. That is an average of roughly one upload per 2 weeks across the channel's history, and in recent years the cadence has settled closer to monthly. He has never taken a brand deal, no sponsored segments, no product reviews for payment, no affiliate links forced into videos. Every dollar the channel generates comes from YouTube AdSense alone. In 2022, that meant approximately $500,000 in a single year. The year before the August 2025 interview, it came in just under $300,000. Those numbers fluctuate. AdSense rates are notoriously variable, but the structure of the business is clean. No obligations to sponsors, no content compromise, no awkward transitions into a sponsored read. Just the videos, and the money the videos earn from the audience watching them. That independence is not an accident, it's a philosophy. The number that came next, nobody who followed this channel expected it. By 2021, the Bushradical channel had proven something. The life Dave was documenting had real financial value, and the scale of that value was large enough to fund a significant expansion. In 2021, Dave and Brooke purchased an 80-acre remote wilderness property near Lake Superior. 80 acres of genuine wilderness. Not a cabin lot, not a small plot, but land with scale, room to build, room to operate, room to evolve the content and the life simultaneously. 2 years later, in 2023, they added to it, an abandoned off-grid cabin near the Lake Superior property, purchased and now being documented and restored as content. That acquisition pattern, find the undervalued property, buy it outright, build it up, document the process, is exactly the same model that produced the first cabin in 1999. Scaled up, refined, funded by YouTube instead of concrete work. Brooke, meanwhile, has been building her own parallel career. Her channel, Girl in the Woods, has grown to over 500,000 subscribers. She built one of their cabins entirely by herself. She's a published author, a public speaker, and an outdoor educator. Where Dave's channel focuses on the philosophy and the builds, hers draws a primarily female audience interested in proving that this kind of life isn't just for men. Dave's brother Ryan runs his own outdoor channel called Black Spruce, focused on outdoor projects. This is a family that has, quietly and without any publicity push, built an entire ecosystem of content and property around the same core principle they started with in 1999. And then, in 2025, Dave did something unexpected. He launched a second channel, operating under his own name, Dave Whipple, focused not on cabin building, but on giving YouTube advice to blue-collar creators, teaching other people how to build what he built. A man who never followed conventional creator advice is now teaching it. She never talked about this publicly, until now. The thing that gets overlooked in the Bushradical story is what was given up to build it. Not the hard parts, the medical crisis, the concrete work, the cold winters in interior Alaska. People expect those when they hear the story. What they don't think about is the quiet cost of the choices that look easy from the outside. Dave grew up around Amish communities. He went to a small school in rural Michigan. He didn't grow up being told that a YouTube channel was a real career path, because YouTube barely existed by the time he finished high school. The life he built, the cabin, the debt-free model, the channel, was not handed to him by any cultural script he was raised with. He made it up. He chose not to have a mortgage, when most people his age were told that a mortgage was the responsible choice. He chose used vehicles in cash, when financing a car was considered normal. He chose to work concrete in Alaska, rather than pursue something with a cleaner office and a salary. And then, when he had footage from years of that life, he chose to post it on YouTube and trust that the right audience would find it. Every one of those choices required ignoring what people around him were probably telling him was the smarter move. The channel's comment sections reflect what that life has meant to people who found it. Viewers write in about paying off debt after watching his videos, about buying land, about reconsidering what they actually need. It's an unusual relationship between a creator and an audience, not entertainment exactly, but something closer to permission. Permission to want less and to build more. Dave Whipple didn't just document an off-grid life. He documented a proof of concept. Here's what the comments kept asking. And here's the answer they never got, until now. So what really happened to Bushradical? Nothing happened. And that's the entire point. The channel didn't blow up, burn out, pivot to drama, or collapse under the weight of its own success. Dave Whipple didn't get a Netflix deal. He didn't launch a merchandise line. He didn't hire a production team. He didn't start posting daily or weekly to compete with the channels that were chasing the algorithm harder. He kept posting once a month. He kept making videos that his specific audience actually wanted. He kept taking no brand deals. He kept buying land in cash. He kept building. In a creator landscape where burnout stories have become their own genre, where channels implode under the pressure of feeding the content machine, Bushradical has lasted because it was never designed to feed a machine. It was designed to document a life. That life, as of 2025, includes over 80 acres of wilderness property near Lake Superior, 7 cabins built since 1998, a second channel, a second YouTube career, a wife running her own 500,000 subscriber channel, and a total subscriber count on Bushradical that crossed 1.15 million without a single sponsored segment. The story of what happened to Bushradical is the story of what happens when a person builds something that matches the life they actually want to live and refuses to let the platform change them to fit its rules. Dave Whipple built the cabin first. Then he built the channel the same way. He still uploads about once a month. The audience is still there. There's a reason the Bushradical channel feels different from everything else in the off-grid space, and it's not the production quality or the subscriber count. It's that Dave Whipple lived the life before he filmed it. Everything on the channel, the philosophy, the frugality, the debt-free model, the physical work, was already there. The camera just started following something that already existed. Going forward, the next chapter for Dave includes the ongoing build-out of the Lake Superior property, the new YouTube advice channel aimed at blue-collar creators, and whatever property acquisition comes next. Brooke continues building in parallel on her own channel, and the family's off-grid footprint keeps expanding, quietly, without announcement, in cash. The real question the Bushradical channel leaves you with isn't about YouTube. It's this: if Dave Whipple could build 7 cabins, outlast 49 days in the Canadian wilderness, survive a serious illness, and reach over 1 million subscribers posting once a month, what's your excuse for not doing the thing you keep putting off? Would you walk away from a stable salary tomorrow to build a cabin on raw land with $8,000 in your pocket? Or is that kind of risk something only Dave Whipple was built for? Drop your answer below.